What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the Philly Frenzy podcast. Today, we're doing a special show, um, Matt Ryan versus Michael Vick. I'm here with a special guest in Dub Thompson underscore on Twitter. What's going on, Dub?
What's good, everybody? What's good, bro?
What's going on? You and I talked a little bit yesterday on Twitter um, about you thinking Matt Ryan was a little bit higher than Michael Vick as a quarterback. And we had a little bit of a disagreement. You went on to say that you believe Matt Ryan is, I guess, quote unquote, the most important piece in Atlanta history.
Yeah,
Um, what in your mind makes you think that Matt Ryan is that much of a piece
I
to the
think
Falcons?
um like the stats and I mean the Michael Vick versus him, like we can get into all that like after this, but like in terms of to the Falcons, I think that just Matt Ryan, the numbers he accumulated, the things he's done in their uniform, he's the only player ever to lead them to back winning seasons. And he took them, well, was a pretty much the main piece. That was his MVP season when he took them to their only Super Bowl. So I feel like he's just, when you talk about Falcons history, I feel like the first guy that comes up is Matt Ryan and then Michael Vick, but there it's like 1A and 1B, you know what I mean? But just for the fact that he has the MVP and the Super Bowl, he has the team accolades, if that makes sense.
I, I guess I get what you're saying, but when you look at this record with the Falcons, Matt Ryan's 113-92. With
Yeah,
Vic, he's with just Atlanta 38, 28, and 1.
yeah.
So, I mean, they're very similar when it comes to statistics, record wise. I mean, Ryan's got a little bit
Mhm.
of a better win percentage, I guess you could,
Yeah.
but Ryan's also played 205
Vic
games in
didn't get the
Atlanta.
fair chance to, yeah,
Correct.
Vic didn't get the fair chance to play longer in Atlanta.
To
But
me,
not like,
when you look at Matt Ryan versus Mike Vick, and in my opinion, the most important piece in Atlanta history is Julio Jones. Um, but when you take Matt Ryan and Vic, Vic had nobody besides Algie Crumpler as a receiver,
yeah,
and
that's true.
you have Matt Ryan who's had Rodney White, Julio Jones,
Mhm.
Tony Gonzalez. Now
And the
he's
people that are listening, if they try to bring up that Michael Vick, I'm agreeing with you. If they try to bring up that Michael Vick had Roddy White, I mean, he had beginning of his career playing as the fourth guy, Roddy White. You know what I mean? That wasn't really Roddy White when Michael Vick had him.
correct. You got Rodney White. What was it? 2005. So you got 2 seasons. He got his 2 seasons out of him. Um,
Yeah, but Matt Ryan really had him in his prime. So like, you know what I mean? I wasn't disagreeing with you on that. I was just saying for the people that were listening that we're gonna disagree with you on that point that that Michael Vick had a receiver. He had Roddy White. He really didn't have anybody. So I'm definitely agreeing with you there.
Vic's stats compared to Ryan's stats. If you just look at that, if you just look at stats, you know, Vic doesn't have the throwing stats that Ryan does. But we're also talking about a 6 year career in Atlanta compared to what's it, 13 years or 12 years now.
Yeah.
So he threw for a little over 11,000 yards when he was with Atlanta. He threw for 22,000 altogether, but he threw for a little over 11,000. But that's not what made Mike Vick. Mike Vick also had 4,000 rushing yards
Hmm.
while in Atlanta. And my opinion on this, Vic changed the game for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was quarterbacks before Vic, Randall Cunningham, Warren
Hmm.
Moon, Steve McNair, but these guys weren't Vic. Vic was your 4-3, 4-4 quarterback who had an arm that's still probably one of the best arms in the NFL.
He changed video games too.
He did change
But
Madden.
Mike,
Everybody wanted to be
yeah,
using Michael
man,
Vick, but
yeah, man.
when you take that into consideration, how can you put Ryan, who isn't more athletic,
Mm,
who doesn't have a stronger arm?
I guess I'm going off purely like statistical things like that, but it is kind of skewed. But like, there's very, very, very few people that are projected to touch 70,000 yards, which would be top five all time. And the only person besides like Matt Ryan's going to touch that by the end of his career, top five all time in yards and stuff like that. And the only person right now projected to maybe touch that is Mahomes. You know what I mean? There's not many people like so. Matt Ryan's had one of those like his entire career of 4,000 yards, 95 career passer rating, going to be top five all time in stats. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm looking at on
When
when
you
I put
when you
Matt
look at
Ryan up
yard
there.
when you look at yards though, right now,
Yeah,
he
that is
has
a bit skewed.
55,000. My first question to you would be: do you have Philip Rivers as a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I don't, but I feel like Matt Ryan will be at the end of his like say just for an example, he throws about 4,000 per year. 5 more years of 4,000. That's what 20. So 55 plus 20, he'll be at 75.
Correct.
So like Ryan will be up there, I think, with Brady, Breeze, and Manning when it comes down to yards all time. So that'll be like a, you know what I mean? I don't know if you can keep that guy out of the first ballot,
Would you?
especially with an MVP too.
All right. So he's got the MVP. He's gonna have the yards.
Hmm.
There's somebody that just retired in Philip Rivers who has the yards
Yeah,
and didn't have the team success that you would expect somebody like that to have. Um,
I'd
would
put Rivers in, but I would put both Vic and Ryan a little bit above Rivers in impact because, like, to me, like Michael Vick impacted the game in such a different way that he made a lot of kids want to play football, and that's something that Matt Ryan can't touch. I can't argue with you on that. Like kids, my generation, maybe that grew up playing, wanted to play basketball. Michael Vick single handedly moved them over to football. You know what I mean?
I get exactly what you're saying.
Like he has a huge impact in that way. So I can't argue with that impact. I guess my argument with the Matt Ryan, and I could like to keep it going, I could bring up all his stats and stuff like that and his accolades and you know what I mean? But like my argument with it is just Matt Ryan will be one of those top five guys statistic wise that we've top 10 guys statistic wise that we've ever seen.
All right, so if Ryan was to retire right now, which isn't going to happen, we all know this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a theoretical.
if he was to retire right now, is Matt Ryan better in your opinion than Dan Marino?
No. I don't
Is Matt Ryan right now better statistically than Philip Rivers, who I personally don't think is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I think Ryan overall is better like career wise than Rivers. Like if I'm starting a team, I'd take Ryan over Rivers. That's tough, but I think Ryan won with less than Rivers. You know what I mean? Won more with less than Rivers and got them closer, like to an NFC championship and then to a Super Bowl, like closer than Rivers would have his teams. And they had equal talented teams, if that makes sense. Like Chargers had teams with crazy offenses and defenses.
I get what you're
I
saying.
I kind of evaluate stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like with the Brady and Rodgers, like no matter where Tom Brady goes, the guy's a winner. He just builds a culture and he's a winner. So it's like Rodgers may be more talented than Tom Brady, but there's no denying that. I don't know if Rodgers could have went down to Tampa and built that culture right away and won a Super Bowl in the first year. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah,
not many people that can do that.
I
Like
get what you're saying. So
there's a culture thing about it too.
you one of the first things you brought up with Matt Ryan was that he was one of the first quarterbacks in Atlanta to have winning back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, I think he was the first one to do that.
Matt Ryan also has 5 losing seasons.
Yeah, that's tough.
So them losing seasons now, statistically, he's never thrown more than 18 interceptions.
Hmm.
He has a good ratio, touchdown to interception ratio at 2.1. So you do have a guy who doesn't turn the ball over, and nowadays everybody looks at the quarterback being the reason why teams lose. And
Yeah.
we both know there's more into it than just a quarterback. But
Hmm.
them 5 losing seasons, no actual Super Bowl, one MVP. He's never thrown for 40 touchdowns in a season,
Yeah, that hurts.
and he's
That
never
hurts
act.
my argument.
He actually's never eclipsed 5,000 yards in his NFL now. That guys seem to do it all the time. Breeze before Breeze had these back-to-back injuries, I believe Breeze did it 3 years in a row.
Yeah. I feel like
Um,
Ryan's more of like a longevity guy. He's gonna play for 18 years and have 70,000 yards.
do you believe Matt Ryan is going to finish in Atlanta?
No, I because of the contract situation. Um, I think he's gonna play one more year, and then I think they're gonna move on and rebuild, and it's gonna be a situation where uh, I'm not gonna say the a team name, but like for example, like the Rams, they were stagnant. We need to make a big move to try to go win a Super Bowl. We'll get Stafford and trade a first round pick or two. I think a team would do that for Matt Ryan next year.
I can't disagree with you. I personally think that if the right offer comes to the table, it may happen this year.
Because I feel like it'll be more of a they'll go to Ryan. Hey, you've done like we appreciate everything you've done for us. We're gonna do you a favor and we're gonna try to rebuild, but we don't want to put you through that for the rest of your 5 years. Let's trade you somewhere like San Francisco or something. Go try to get your ring. You know what I mean?
I get what you're
I,
saying.
I feel like Ryan would be okay with that,
When
unless he
you
really wants to finish his career in Atlanta.
when you talk about Ryan being more important than Vic to Atlanta, is it just because of the one Super Bowl appearance and the MVP? Like what
Um,
what makes Matt Ryan that much better than what Michael Vick did? Because you are agreeing with me that he did change the game, that he
yeah,
brought our
I feel like
generation wanting to
I
play
feel like
football
it's the
more.
longevity in Atlanta. It's the long, you know what I mean? Like Vic, kind of not to put him down for it, like you know what I mean. I praise Michael Vick for turning it around and doing everything, but basically, like he kind of soured his time in Atlanta, and that hurts it a little bit to where Matt Ryan was the guy that lifted them out of that. You know what I mean, and brought the team back to new heights that they never seen before. If that makes sense.
So he's the better of the two for Atlanta because he's been there longer.
Like he's done more for the franchise because he's been there longer, so that you know what I mean. That kind of like goes into what I'm like my view of it, but like also that to Atlanta, to a lot of Atlanta fans, they never forgave Vic, you know? So I feel like to a lot of like a lot of Atlanta fans, they do love Vic still, but it's like I feel like they put Matt Ryan. That's the I'm kind of viewing it as like Atlanta, like he has the he's gonna be leading them in all the stats besides the rushing and stuff. And it's just the longevity to me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when I look at the stats and so pretty much this whole conversation came about with me making a top 20 list of 21st century quarterbacks. Isn't a
Yeah.
it isn't a solid top 20 list. It's my personal top 20 list.
Hmm.
I have Vic above Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I have
And I
Vic
wanted
I have Vic above a lot of guys, and it's not because of
I wanted
what
to like reiterate on what I said there too. Like, you know what I mean? I'm glad you asked me to come on here, like, to because what I said there was like I was kind of saying basically not disagreeing on your list where Ryan and him were. Like that's why I was like kind of like Vic. Where the first thing I said when I came on here was Vic. Like nobody can argue about his impact. Like that's why he's up there on that list. But I think Ryan is more important to Atlanta than Vic. And I'm glad like you put the topic as Ryan versus Vic because we get to talk about all of that. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
it's you know you he is important to Atlanta. I'm not going to take that away because what Matt Ryan's done with that organization. But Matt Ryan's also had weapons his whole career.
oh yeah,
Devontae Smith, or not Devontae Smith. What's his name? Freeman. My
Freeman.
bad. Devontae
Mm,
Freeman, um, Julio, Tony Gonzalez, Austin Hooper. Now he has Calvin Ridley. He has Todd Gurley. Um, he had got to
Michael
play with
Turner too back in the day. Woo.
he got to play with Rodney White. So when you look at the guys that Ryan's been blessed to play alongside of, and then
Yeah,
you take what Vic got to play alongside of, you know, in 2006, Vic led the NFL in 8.1 yards per carry.
and he had. I'm an Eagles fan. He had no business going against us in that in 2004 in the playoffs. No business. That team should not have been there. That was all strictly Michael Vick. I give him complete credit for that.
And he took them there
Yeah, that team
on
had
his
no
own.
business being there.
And, that's kind
That
of
was a
where
6-10 team, bro. It should have been. I mean, you know what I mean? It should have been 6-10. Like they went
that
11-5.
that's where like I'm making my argument that in my opinion he means more to that Falcons team than Matt Ryan does to this Falcons team. I believe
Yeah.
you could plug in any quarterback that has two eyes, a brain, and has some kind of arm talent and play for this Atlanta team.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they're going to put up the same numbers, but
Hmm. Like to a certain
it's
T, like you're not gonna plug golf and stuff, but like what like I know exactly what you mean. Like just to give it a little more clarification, like you could plug Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, players like that in, Philip Rivers.
you plug a guy into the system, you plug a guy in with the weapons that he has around him. That's what I'm trying to like. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make, in my opinion, Ryan special.
Hmm.
Like and Vic was special. Like everything about Vic, uh, besides the off-field stuff, Vic had
I agree
everything.
with you. I guess
So
my argument is the longevity in Atlanta and the numbers that he's going to put up there, like he's going to finish his career 60,000 yards in Atlanta, set 60 to 70,000 yards in Atlanta, and not many quarterbacks. There's going to be 10 people, probably. We're going to probably see like maybe Mahomes and maybe two more people in our lifetime touch that. You know what I mean? Like 70,000 yards. Like that's
I'm
wild
going
to me.
I'm going to agree to disagree actually with this. I actually believe that 70,000 is going to be the new norm. Um,
I just don't think some like for the norm for superstars like Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, they're gonna touch it. But like I don't, you know what I mean? I think that's very few here and there like players like that come along. That's what I mean by that. Like
the,
those
the
players, yeah, I agree with you. They're gonna touch it.
the new guy in Los Angeles, Stafford's going to hit it.
Yeah,
Stafford stays healthy, he's hitting it.
I just
Um,
don't think Stafford will be able to pass Matt Ryan when they're both said and done in yards. But he's gonna hit it. Yeah,
I
I
just
agree with you.
I'm just saying the 70,000 yard thing to me isn't like
Hmm.
it isn't special anymore. Like
Yeah,
watching Vic or not Vic, watching Manning, watching Breeze, watching Brady. These guys started it when it wasn't 4,000 yards a season,
yeah,
and
facts.
then they went and they did it. Now it's
Ryan
the
kind of came
average.
into the era where we're gonna throw 45 times a game.
Exactly. That's kind of my point when I say that Matt Ryan isn't more valuable off of stats because somebody with you being an Eagles fan like Carson Wentz, 4,000 yards he eclipsed with one without a receiver over 500 yards.
Yeah, but that was he did not play good that year.
But he still hit. That's my point.
Yeah.
He didn't play well. He didn't have a receiver over 500, and he still hit 4,000. So if
Hmm.
you got guys doing that, you know that 70,000 mark doesn't seem impossible anymore. So Atlanta could easily turn around and draft a guy like
What
Justin
hurts?
Fields and be able to do what Ryan's going to do in his career.
Yeah. To throw a side note, what hurts about Carson Wentz is like the numbers are there, the talent's there, but I feel like he's a not to put him in that category. I feel like it's a whole nother conversation for another day. But he I feel like he's a hot take. He's a Jay Cutler kind of like he just doesn't. He's not a football guy, but he has the IQ and he's super smart. He's a genius. He has the talent. He's just not a football guy. You know what I mean? He's not 100% in football to bring out his full talent. The dude could be a fucking all pro every year in the right system. I don't think
I'm
he got it mentally.
I'm not going to touch on that. I'm going to stay away from Philly right now, um,
Yeah,
because
but the
that will turn into like
Carson.
a 4 hour conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's another take, but yeah, that's why I said it's for another day. But just something for you to have some interest in for maybe another one. You know what I mean? For you to talk about like Carson Wentz's mental, like his talent compared to his mental. You know,
Yeah,
because the dude is the top. I'm gonna get back into the Matt Ryan thing, but yeah, Matt Ryan and Vic. It's such a hard thing for Atlanta because Vic's impact is so big. Like he changed football. Everybody wanted to run and run options and run the quarterback. And I agree with that. He completely changed football. But I feel like the reason why like I said that too is like not only the statistical standpoint, but Michael Vick hurt a lot of Falcons fans. And to this day, I still feel like a lot of Falcons fans are hurt by Vick. And Matt Ryan kind of uplifted that and gave them hope and took the franchise to spots they've never seen it. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, the Super Bowl appearance, but they ended up losing, so
Hmm.
it didn't really help his cause much.
Yeah, it
Um,
didn't for that part, but like they had for basically his whole career, there was like they after the Vic thing, like it was Falcons thought they were gonna be in the sewers for a while, and then they drafted Ryan, and then they seen they had hope, and like they just felt like they had a chance almost every year. Like after that, it kind of brought their hope back up, and they enjoyed a long 10-15 year career of them.
all right, real
But
quick. Um, my co-host finally showed up. He's dealing with an injury, so he's been hurting a little bit. But Rob's here. I know Rob wanted to have a little conversation about Vic and Ryan. So I'm gonna let Rob and you talk for a couple minutes. I'm gonna mute myself, let you guys have your conversation.
I got you. What's good, Rob?
All right, what's going on, man? So I've been listening in. I couldn't get quite on my phone to get on at the beginning of this. I think both of y'all have made some really good points. The way I kind of see it is you're gonna have it's gonna be split like this forever for Atlanta because I think people more towards like my age group that watched Vic growing up. I don't think that when I picture Atlanta, I picture Mike Vick. Like that's the
Oh
biggest
yeah,
star they've ever had. But now if you get a kid who didn't really get to see Vic, like we got to see Vic in Atlanta, well, Matt Ryan's going to be their face of Atlanta. So I mean, because of what, like you said, what he's done, he has consistent. They have been consistently good under him. He's taken them to a Super Bowl, even though he lost it. That doesn't matter. They still got there. Um, Stats wise, yeah, Matt Ryan's gonna blow him out of the water, but we don't really know what Vic's stats could have been. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when he went to prison, that was right as he was coming to his prime as an NFL player.
And as
So
a passer too.
exactly. So I would love, obviously, we'll never know. It would have been awesome to see, but unfortunately, that wasn't the circumstances that we got
And I
allowed
love
to
Michael
see.
Vick
But
as a Philly fan too. I love Michael Vick, bro. So I'm not like against Vick. You know what I mean? Nothing I
I
said was
just
like against Vick.
to defend where Matt had him on the list. The only reason I would put him over Matt Ryan on my all-time list, which hasn't come out yet because I'm too picky and I haven't decided on everything yet, just because he's his explosive ability in the run game and the fact that he was a guy who changed the game
Yeah.
rather than just played the game is the only reasons I would put him higher.
Mm-hmm.
Accomplishments wise, Ryan's done more, but he definitely has had more talent. I mean, Vic's, I don't even know Vic's receivers. I looked them up
Yeah.
earlier and I already forgot them again.
The only one I really remember is Des White, and he was decent. He wasn't like an all-star. You
Yeah,
know, he was
all of
decent.
his guys were like, okay. I mean, the guy I remember was Algay Crumpler, and that was his tight end.
Yeah, he was good.
Brian Finnegan.
So,
Yep,
oh yeah,
Finnegan
Brian
was.
Finnegan, who
He
was
had decent. He
yeah,
had decent receivers that were known because they were Michael Vick's receivers.
yeah.
It
I
wasn't
think,
even
and that's
just
the
that.
difference.
With Finnegan, you got him towards the end of his career.
Yeah,
I mean, if
like
you look at Matt Ryan, his worst number one option was Roddy White,
and that
who
was we. I think me and Shaq
a
talked about.
Pro Bowler.
Yeah, but he got him in the beginning of his career before he hit his prime, and then unfortunately he went to jail. What would have been awesome to see, bringing back to your point, would
Oh
be
man,
Roddy
yeah,
White
him and
and
Tom
Michael Vick
Roddy
touching
White.
their primes. Yep,
That would have been
that would have been awesome, bro.
one of those things that we talked about in the same conversation as Harrison and Manning and
Mm-hmm.
Brady and Moss and Rogers and
Because Vic coming into his passing prime and Roddy White coming into his prime, they would have been together for 10 years.
yeah, that they would have been insane to watch together. Like I said, I think that would have been one of those quarterback receiver duos that everybody talks about, like maybe not quite at the level of some of the guys I mentioned, but you would talk about it. You would say, "Man, remember when Vic had Roddy White?" Just
Yeah.
like we say, remember when Manning and Harrison just were going at it? Remember when uh, Aaron
Calvin and
Rodgers had
Stafford,
Jordy
Julio and
Nelson?
Ryan,
Yep.
Antonio and Ben.
Yeah.
Remember when McNabb had TL?
Oh man, I wish that was a little longer, but hey, stuff
Remember when
happens.
McNabb screwed it up with Tio?
It's a better way to put it. Um,
Yeah. But like I guess to my point though, like I'm not disagreeing at all on like impact on football. I'm just like my like that's why I'm glad he put it as Matt Ryan versus Michael Vick because we can still talk about the list, and I'm agreeing on the list where Michael Vick should be up there because of his impact on football. Period, and he literally made kids want to play football. But
Yep.
but to me, like I guess my point was where I'm coming from is I think like Matt Ryan because of what Vic did and the accolades and stuff like that of Matt Ryan. I think when you look up Atlanta history, I feel like Ryan is 1A and Michael Vick is 1B.
Yeah. Like I said, I can see that point. For me, obviously, I think Atlanta. I see Vic, but that's because I grew up watching him,
Yeah, me
and that
too.
was like a childhood. It was like watching Superman play football when you got to watch Mike Vick back then.
Yeah,
So
seriously. It's like kids now growing up on Lamar.
yep, Lamar, the kids who grew up on Cam,
Yeah.
who were growing up on Cam, that was the same type of thing. It's just you could look at that guy and go, well, he's different,
Mm-hmm.
and it caught your eye.
So if I'm 250, I can or if I run a 4.2, I don't have to be a receiver.
That's pretty much what
Exactly.
Vic did. He said,
Yeah,
you could run a 4-2, and if you could, have an arm, you could play quarterback.
like I'm not gonna curse here, but like basically he told them guys like Lamar wanted to go in there and Lamar wanted to go in there and play quarterback and some team the Ravens like were one of the few teams that said no, we're gonna put you at quarterback. Some teams that hey, you want to try to running back, you want to try to receiver also in case quarterback don't work out. Lamar said no, I'm a quarterback, and if you don't respect that, I'm not playing for your team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Michael Vick did for kids. It doesn't matter if I can run a 4-2 and run 1,500 yards. I'm a quarterback, and you're gonna
Yep.
put me a quarterback.
I absolutely agree.
Like that's the impact that's huge. That's unprecedented. You know what I mean? Like
Real quick, I know you said
we'll
you
never
wanted to.
see that again.
I know you said you wanted to touch on the list real quick when we got done
Yeah.
with the Ryan and
Mm-hmm.
Vic. So if you want to spit, go ahead and spit. I'm all ears.
Mm-hmm. The closing point to the Ryan and Vic would be we both have very valid points in it, and it's always going to be split. Like what Rob said, it's always going to be split by when people grew up. Um, so it's more of an whichever it's an agree to disagree, whichever side you want to take on it, but both are very valid. I feel like it's just a 1A and 1B situation wherever you want to put them. And back to the list. I agree with your list, like for the most part. Like I don't want to like nitpick on anything, but I just wanted to ask you a few questions to give him more content. Like
Why is Eli on the list?
yeah, like why? Yeah,
All right,
like or
so
or where do you put or like why do you have Mahomes this high so far? Are you projecting him to finish there, or is it kind of like you put him there because you don't
all
know
right,
where he's gonna
so
finish?
with real quick, I'll hit the Eli thing. Eli is only on this list. Eli is only in the top 10 because Eli has won 2 Super Bowls, and in both Super Bowls, he was the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Eli Manning had 2 game-winning drives against the GOAT in Tom Brady. Eli Manning deserves respect. Do I think Eli Manning is a good quarterback? No. Do I think Eli Manning, without 2 Super Bowl rings, gets into the Hall of Fame? No. But because he has 2 Super Bowl rings, Eli Manning has to be mentioned in the top 10 best quarterbacks of the 21st century because he beat Brady twice.
Oh, 100%.
Mahomes, I have him ranked 12th or 11th. And he is sitting that in that spot as of right now because of the body of work he has. Mahomes is 3 years in. He has a 50 passing touchdown season, and he
Mm,
has 2 Super Bowl appearances, an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP.
yeah.
His only 2 playoff losses in his 3 year career are against Tom Brady. He has never been beaten by double digits in the NFL before the Super Bowl happened this year. I could argue that he would be higher on my list,
Yeah.
but 3 years in, I don't believe he deserves to be that high yet. I actually
I
thought
guess
I
that was
actually
my question.
I
You
actually
know what I
thought
mean?
about that today.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me 3 years from now, if he performs the way he has the last 3 years into the
You're gonna
next
probably
three
gonna put him
years,
higher.
he's honestly he might be the second best quarterback of the 21st century if he performs the way he did the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Nothing taken away from um, Peyton, Breeze, Rogers, any of them guys, but
But Mahomes is like to add to what you said. Mahomes is the only one that has a career that is online to even be. Maybe he can touch Brady's. You know what I mean? Like in terms of how many Super Bowls he can get to and win and stuff like that. Like I don't see anybody else who being able to touch that.
so you know
Just
how
him.
we spoke on how Vic is a one in a generational player.
Yeah.
That's Mahomes.
Yeah.
You watch this kid. There's nobody coming out that's going to come near him. There's nobody in the NFL that's near him. I I think he's better than Brady right now. I think
Yeah.
he didn't have the offensive line to compete with Brady in that Super Bowl. But Mahomes is the clear-cut number one quarterback in the NFL.
Oh yeah. And my other question, like, why Alex Smith? Like, and was there anybody else you were considering putting up there?
Okay, Alex Smith is someone that I have gotten a lot of feedback about. Alex Smith, I don't think a lot of people remember. Before Cap got his shot, Alex Smith was the quarterback in San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco's been a winning team with Alex Smith at quarterback, and then Cap came in and took him to the Super Bowl. Alex Smith then leaves San Francisco and goes to Kansas City. Alex Smith turns that team into a playoff team. He leaves Kansas City, goes to Washington, and this year was the most valuable player on Washington's team, the only quarterback in that division with a winning record, comeback player of the year. Alex Smith may not be your number one choice, but Alex Smith has done a lot in the last 8-9 years that he needs to
Mm-hmm.
be. He needs to be seen as a top 20 quarterback in the 21st century. It
Yeah.
For people to not mention Alex Smith, you're just underrating him. What he's done for organizations and what he's done in his career.
He's just a winner.
Correct. Like, there's not much you could say to doubt Alex Smith. It's not like he goes out there. Someone asked me why Jameis Winston isn't on my list. Jameis Winston has more interceptions than touchdowns thrown.
Yeah, I would put Deshaun Watson before Winston.
Absolutely.
Watson was somebody I went back and forth with. Watson.
Yeah. He's one of those where, like, you got to wait a couple years, and then he's going to be up on your list.
I don't think it's going to be a couple years. I believe.
Well, I just mean, like, to know where to place him. You know what I mean?
I could see him making the list now. The problem and the reason why he, I think, is off of Matt's list, and spoiler alert, since I will be putting my list out later today, he's not on my list. Lack of postseason success.
Yeah, not yet. You know, that's what I meant by that. Like, you know what I mean? When he goes to a new team and if he wins some playoff games and he's still doing what he's doing, then
Exactly.
all right, now we got to rank Deshaun Watson somewhere.
Exactly.
It's kind of like why Stafford is sitting at 16 on mine, or 17.
If he gets a Super Bowl, Stafford, there's a good. If Stafford gets a Super Bowl, where are you gonna put him?
He jettisoned the list quite a bit.
If Stafford wins a Super Bowl, he goes above Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Do you put maybe I put him above Kurt Warner?
Kurt Warner.
Because I feel like my argument for that is Stafford has carried a franchise into winning that shouldn't even have been winning when they did. And like his whole, like, to me, the dude's a winner, even though the franchise was not winning. You know what I mean? Like, the dude is tough.
With Kurt Warner, he was an undrafted quarterback that didn't make the league. And then the Rams called him one day and was like, hey, stop bagging groceries, come play quarterback for us. And then is the quarterback for the greatest show on turf.
Mm-hmm.
And then
one of all time.
He leaves.
So
he leaves there and he goes to Arizona and takes Arizona to a Super Bowl.
So with Stafford winning one suit, Kurt Warner's like Kurt Warner's first ballot. But
I can't put Stafford in Warner right now. Stafford.
So would Stafford go in front of Vick if he wins a Super Bowl?
That's tough because Stafford isn't going to be the generational game-changing player. Why Vick is so high on my list? See, Vick doesn't have. Vick has 22,000 yards passing, but he also has like 10,000 yards rushing. So
I'm gonna agree with you where Vick is. The only reason Eli's above Vick, and I think people might have that controversial, but the only reason Eli's above Vick is because when you talk about the story of football, even Michael Vick is mentioned, but Eli Manning is a giant piece to the story of football. You can't quickly skip over football and not talk about Eli Manning because of his impact on Tom Brady and how he beat the Patriots and how he performed in those Super. You know what I'm saying?
Without
Eli Manning
stopped that perfect season from happening.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So Eli Manning is one of those where like the Manning family, also that like you can't talk about the story, obviously without Michael Vick too, but like the story of football, you can skip over the Vick part a little bit if you want to tell it fast. You know what I mean? You just be like, hey, Michael Vick balled out. He changed the game because he was made everybody made it okay to be a rushing quarterback, and then you could skip over it. But you can't just skip over Eli Manning. Hey, he won 2 Super Bowls. You got to elaborate on everything. You know what I mean?
With Eli and telling the story of the NFL, it's not so much telling the story of the NFL, it's telling Tom Brady's story. And
Yeah, exactly.
without Eli Manning, Tom Brady has 9 Super Bowl rings and a perfect season.
Yep.
And he's 9-0 in bowls.
9-1.
So yeah,
Nick
9-1.
Eli
Yeah.
Manning is just it's yeah, that you said it right there. When you talk about NFL history, you're gonna go, all right, who's the best player of all time, and look at his story, and who's the biggest, I guess, enemy? Eli Manning.
The one who stopped him.
Yep. You
Yeah,
got to talk about this goofy Manning kid that was
beat him
okay.
twice and stopped his
Was
perfect season.
Manning was. I mean, Eli had a ton of talent in his arm too before he fell off. People forget too. Like Eli didn't have great offenses.
Nope.
They had
Yeah,
good running games and they had good O lines, but his wide receivers weren't spectacular. Like Plaxico Burress was good. I wouldn't have called him great. He got Jeremy Shockey at the very end of his career when he was kind of eh. So I mean, like I said, he's had guys. Victor Cruz was again good, but he's not an all timer.
yeah.
So he's never had a Marvin Harrison, a Randy Moss.
Well, he had
A,
Odell, but that was towards the end of his career. So,
I was going to say, but by then Manning had been through the ringer.
yeah.
He
Hmm.
was kind of washed by the time
Took a
Odell.
bunch of damage too.
Yeah, he. Well, that was the good O lines were gone by then, way gone, and he just took a bunch of punishment and kept on going.
And what something a good one that I wanted to ask you is this is more like an opinion base. This is for some good content on this one. Andrew Luck, if he never got hurt, where do you think he would Super Bowl? Where would he end up? All time great.
Think he definitely would have won a Super Bowl by now.
Yeah, because
Probably,
I like
probably
that you
in the
placed
last
Andrew Luck on your
couple of
list.
years.
Having this conversation, and is Andrew Luck a Hall of Famer? Is he an all
No,
timer?
I meant like
Is
where would you
he
put him on your list?
would
But
he have
like
won
where
a
do you
Super
where
Bowl?
no basically like my I guess let me reiterate my question. If Andrew Luck would have got to finish his career, like you think he would have won one or two, and where would you have projected him to be on your list then? Like if he just got to theoretically, if he got to finish his career, like to
Okay,
me, if I think if he would have got to finish his career, 2 Super Bowls and an MVP.
so we're gonna throw this out there. There's reports that Andrew Luck has interest in returning back to Indianapolis. Andrew Luck is
Yeah,
30. Andrew Luck's 31 years old. Andrew Luck, if this 3 year hiatus, 2 year hiatus makes a difference in Andrew Luck's health, and now that they have an offensive line that's going to
he can
protect
win two
Andrew Luck,
Super Bowls.
Andrew Luck could come
Yep.
back and play until he's 40, 42 years old. So you're looking at another 11 years for Andrew Luck. We had this conversation about Patrick Mahomes being able to do what Patrick Mahomes does, but there's going to be one
Yeah,
person that could walk through the door on the AFC side that could stop Patrick Mahomes from even making another Super Bowl appearance, and that's Andrew Luck
Andrew Luck.
walking into the Indianapolis Colts locker room tomorrow and playing with the team that they have built.
If
Yep,
Andrew Luck comes back,
they are.
the
Um,
Indianapolis Colts, in my opinion, should be the favorite to win the
yeah,
Super Bowl in the AFC
I just think
above the Chiefs.
I think I agree completely. I just think they won't because you know how it goes. Like they're just Chiefs went to 2 in a row. They're gonna be. I don't know how he's gonna come back off 2 year hiatus. I know how he's gonna come back, but that's what most people are gonna think. They're not
No,
gonna
no,
come
no.
back
And I
off a 2 year
agree.
hiatus.
I don't think the Vegas odds won't show that, but
Yeah, but man,
that way
we
throughout.
all three of us in here know if Andrew Luck comes back to the Colts right now, they could win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, that Indianapolis team is, first of all, their defense is
Top
ridiculous,
5.
and it's not talked about for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And I guess it's not talked about because get past Leonard and
Darius
Buckner.
Leonard is a dog.
But once you get past Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner, most people can't name you another guy on their defense
Yeah, facts.
because they're not big name household name guys. Maybe that's because Indy doesn't get real enough national attention anymore because of the lack of quarterback. But that's a top 5 defense. You bring Andrew Luck back with the emergence of their young running back they drafted last year, the
Jonathan Taylor.
emergence of Michael Pittman. If you can bring back Ty or replace Ty and draft another receiver this year, they're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Rob and I actually just had this conversation about me wanting a Manning Brady AFC again. And if Luck walks in that door,
That's
there's
how
my
you
That's
get
what
it.
it is.
there's my AFC that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the AFC you want is coming anyway. Look at all the young, talented quarterbacks in the
Yeah.
AFC. You're gonna have you possibly have Manning Brady happening again in the same division between Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two guys that you look at, and I know Herbert's only had 1 year. That's my
But
division, so I pay attention to it more than most.
mhm.
Watch that man's tape; you'll see special. It's
And
very clear
this
that
isn't a hot take, but us being football guys, we know when other players see that, they want to go there.
yep,
Sunny, it's sunny over there where they're at. It's LA.
he sell for
This
Los
guy's
Angeles.
going to be a star. Let's go stack that roster and let's take that division. Because if we win the division, there's no team that can stop us from going to the Super Bowl. So I know players see that.
That's what you're starting to see in Rob's favorite team with the Raiders. Derek Carr had a very good season, and now there's talks about Juju. There's talks about this person,
Mm-hmm.
that person. These guys want to go play. You're talking about Las Vegas. I mean,
Because the coaching is
to be honest with
they
you,
can beat the Chiefs.
I don't think it would matter who the quarterback is. It's Las Vegas. Who doesn't want to play in Las Vegas?
It's
Yeah,
one
exactly.
location. Two, for whatever reason, it's Gruden.
He's just a proven winner. He's a football guy.
He's a football guy. This might be a
I
hot
don't mean
take.
proven winner as in winning
I'm
games, but
gonna
like
let them
John
know my
Gruden is
opinion.
going to bring that culture. He's going to teach you. He's going to, you know what I mean? You're going to
I
grow
think
your full
John Gruden's
potential under John
overrated.
Gruden.
I think John Gruden's highly overrated. And I'm a
I
Raiders
think
fan.
I think the other coaches are what helps the Raiders win. I'm not saying this right, but I feel like John Gruden isn't the reason why Raiders win games, but John Gruden is that guy that brings culture. He teaches the players, the film, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like John Gruden is a top tier
I agree.
teacher.
Gruden does bring a unique culture to a team.
He's a top tier teacher, and the
But
team wants to play for that guy. People want to play for that guy.
he's a guy that I can argue a lot of people put him up on this pedestal like he's an elite level coach.
Yeah, he's not no Andy Reid. He's not no Andy Reid.
Not an Andy Reid, a Belichick, a Bill Walsh. Like he's not that level.
He's
Yeah,
not a
no,
Mike
not a
Tomlin.
Sean Payton. Yeah, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, Belichick, Andy Reid. These guys are all on a different table. They sit at a different table. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Pete Carroll, I wouldn't put him up there yet. Pete Carroll's a proven winner, though. No matter where that man goes, that man wins.
Except for his first stint in the NFL. Everybody
Yeah.
forgets that.
But
He
that
was
to me,
terrible.
like, I look at those as like, I don't like how some coaches they fail their first time in the NFL and team just kick them out. Because it's a different game. It's an adjustment. Like it's, you know what I mean. You gotta learn. It's you know what I mean? Like it's not everybody can just come in and just thrive. Like that maybe you're gonna fail your first time and then you're gonna go home. And some of these guys have that mentality that I'm not gonna fail again. Next time I get this job, you know what I mean? We're gonna win. We're gonna be a winning team. I'm gonna take this team to new heights. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They put the work in. Some of these guys will take that failure and go home, go back to college or something, and put the work in and get another opportunity and thrive as an offensive coordinator and then get their chance. But you know what I mean? Like I don't like how some of those coaches don't get another chance because some dudes are like that, you know. I'm sure you guys are like that. If you fail at something, you want another chance at that. If you get cut from a basketball team, you're not going to quit basketball, bro. You're going to go next year in school. When you were in school, you're going to go next year and you're going to make that team. Like, I don't know. Some people have that mentality.
Yeah, I think those are the guys who, again, do end up making it. But
A lot of them don't get another chance.
yeah, but some of them are more built for the college game.
Like, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. He just took the Jacksonville job. Didn't he have another NFL job and failed?
Urban Meyer.
Yeah. Did he ever coach in the NFL?
I don't actually think he did.
Oh, okay.
I think he's one of the few who hadn't left the college game, but everywhere he went,
it was Saban that coached and failed.
Yes.
He's an opportunist, man. He shows up to these places right at the right time, turns them around.
Man, that's a good conversation to have. I think he's going to turn that team right because he's one of those guys that put the time in, he put the work in. He knows it's going to be an adjustment for him. So did you see the coaching staff he built around him? These are veteran guys that've been around the NFL for 20 years.
He's going to bring culture, and that's going to be something that's going to help Jacksonville in the long run because they have all this money, they have young talent, they have draft capital. They're going to be able to do something that most first-year head coaches don't get and build a team to fit his culture, and these guys are going to come in and they're going to buy in.
Yep. And they're going to get Trevor Lawrence. And if he is what everybody thinks he is, guys are going to want to go there. And it's Florida. There's no state taxes. That team is going to be stacked.
I mean,
that's a team to watch.
Everyone keeps saying Trevor Lawrence. I know our mock draft came out. It's Trevor Lawrence. But it's Urban Meyer. Guess what? He coached Justin Fields. Don't be surprised if there's throwing a wrench out there.
Yeah.
Not happening, bro. That is not happening.
And I think if they're going to draft Justin Fields,
was to get Trevor Lawrence.
If they're going to draft Justin Fields, I think it would be, here's a hot take. If they're going to get Justin Fields, now here's Atlanta. Atlanta is going to draft the quarterback. Remember that Matt Ryan and Vick conversation? Matt Ryan's going to be there for one more year because of the dead cap money that if they get rid of him this year, they can't afford that.
Correct.
Next year, they're going to move on from Matt Ryan because they want to rebuild, and they're going to do Matt Ryan a favor like Lions did for Stafford. Look, we're not winning. We're going to try to rebuild. Here, go try to get your Super Bowl. Thank you for everything you did for us. That's what Falcons are going to do with Matt Ryan.
You would hope.
That's what I hope for. And I think they're
with Detroit, you saw that they didn't do it with two other guys, and it ruined both of their careers. They retired early. They were both still first ballot Hall of Famers in Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson because they both should have been traded when they wanted to be traded.
Mm-hmm. So, like, my thing is with that, all right, so hot take on this. Now, just like what you said, if Urban wants Justin Fields, you know you can get him at 5 because the teams in front of you don't need a quarterback at 2, 3, and 4, or they're not going to take. You know what I mean?
Well, Atlanta's drafting 4th. If the Jets
4th, so 2 and 3.
The number 2 spot's being a quarterback with either Zach Wilson. It seems like he's the second hottest guy in this draft. Zach Wilson's either going to be going to Houston or to the Jets.
So here's my take: if they want Justin Fields, they know they can get him at 4 because the Jets aren't going. Jets want Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence. That's already been known pretty much.
Okay.
So if Atlanta really wants Trevor, and the Jaguars want Fields. Hot take: what if a trade happens or Atlanta moves up to number one?
It won't happen. If Jacksonville really wanted Justin Fields, they're not going to move off the one spot. They're going to draft Justin Fields at one. Um, for the simple fact of them moving down to 4, switching with Atlanta. Atlanta would take Trevor Lawrence. 2 is Zach Wilson. 3 is Miami right now. And every report I'm hearing is Carolina might try to move up to 3 and grab their quarterback in front of Atlanta. So if you move back to 4 and Carolina makes this deal with Miami, there goes Justin Fields. You just move back to 4. You screwed yourself.
That's fact. I didn't even think about that. That's so true.
So, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, but I keep putting out there that
Are the
don't be
Bengals
surprised.
fifth? Does that leave Panay Sewell to go
Yes.
down to the Bengals at 5?
Correct.
Yep. Which is going to be the steal of the draft.
Hell, oh man, he's gonna be so much help. Oh man, because
It's gonna
Joe
keep
Burrow,
upright. That's
Joe.
what Joe
Oh, that's
Burrow
what I was
needs.
about to say, bro. That's why I got excited. Help is on the way for Joe Burrow.
All right.
That's another team over there in the AFC that if they get some pieces on Joe Burrow, he's one of those guys. Joe Burrow's nice.
All right. So let's end it on that. Because we're getting way off topic of Vic and Ryan.
Yeah.
But remember, guys, at Dub Nation or at Dub Thompson _ on Twitter. Dub, I appreciate you being on the show today. I appreciate everything you brought to the table. Rob,
Yeah,
you know the
appreciate
deal.
being on the show, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate that you reached out on the post with the feedback, and we're, good enough to come on and came on, and you had done your homework. You knew enough
Yeah.
to actually back your point up. There's a lot of people out there that'll throw a take back, but they don't really know how to back it up.
Yeah.
But
I definitely appreciate being on the show. I definitely would want to come back anytime you guys are doing something else like this some other time.
I'll
And
definitely be reaching out.
anybody that was watching, it's an awesome podcast. I watch all the time. It's great content. Definitely check it out.
And for all of our viewers and for all of our followers, Rob and I will be back at some point tonight for Fast Forward Friday as we cover the Usman Burns fight, and I guess we're gonna get into a little bit of basketball. So stay tuned. I'll be posting when we're going live. Everybody, have a good day.